This week on the Ladies Who Lead show, I'll be catching up with Dr. Jaishree Sharad. She's extremely renowned in her field. She's a celebrity dermatologist, author, TEDx speaker, academic at heart, and completely self-made. She's an inspiration to many. Don't miss this episode. Jaishree, great to have you with us on the show. I'm really looking forward to sitting down, catching up. It's been forever. And going deep into your professional journey, because I will always known you as the celebrity doctor and also my go-to person for any kind of query.
Thank you.
And of course, as someone who's just really lovely, warm, full of life whenever you come to the clinic, whenever one calls you. But I was looking into your professional journey and it is remarkable.
Thank you so much.
You're just back from Orlando. So let me start there because this was a huge career milestone for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was. I mean, when you get an academic accolade, it's way beyond. You feel like, okay, I've done something in life. Because this was the American Society of Dermatologic Surgery annual conference. Wow. It was no doubt my 10th, session there, 10th consecutive year there as faculty. But I spoke at the plenary session. And the plenary is supposed to be like one of the most prestigious sessions.
Absolutely.
Where all the other parallel sessions are stalled and this is the only one that's going on and only the top people are invited. Mm-hmm. So that itself was like a big achievement for me. This was the second time though.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I can't tell you how nervous I was when I accepted it. And I think 1 month of hardcore studying. So I would finish work, go back home by 10:30 p.m. and then literally sit with my books and downloading all the latest journal articles and reading them and preparing and all of that. Not 1 month, I think a month and a half. And then studying till 2:30 and then waking up at 6 in the morning again. So that went on. And then I think it really paid off because finally when I presented, there were all the doyens of dermatology, people who I have looked up to, people whose books I have read,
wow.
People, the inventor of Botox, Dr. Jean Caruthers, the inventor of lasers, Dr. Tina Alster was one of my co-speakers. So all of them were there and they all, sort of heard me and, everybody applauded.
It's such a high.
It's a real high. I mean, I have got a lot of other awards over the course of my career. But this is the real award. When your fraternity and seniors from your fraternity, especially people who you've learned from and people who you've looked up to, they have, sort of praised you and appreciated your work.
Oh, no,
so I
of
feel
course.
so blessed.
Absolutely.
I'm still in that. Because I've just come back
in
day
that
before.
bubble.
So in that bubble that did this really happen? Like someone pinched me. But my husband said, don't forget how much you studied.
I was just going to say, okay, everybody knows you're going to study to become a doctor, but the amount you studied is huge. And I mean, these days, everyone looks to take the shortcut and get out of, doing that extra bit. And you're continuing to do it, like you just mentioned. So what drives that dedication to learn for academics, for knowledge? Is it to really be a perfectionist in your field, to have all the knowledge that you require? Is there more? Is there just a hunger to learn?
There's always a thirst. There's always a thirst to know what's new, what's next, what's new. That is my excitement and my work is my passion. And a friend of mine said that her guru said, the best form of meditation is when you are doing your work passionately. And I think that is my meditation. Which is why I don't get tired of learning. I remember my son is now doing engineering and he's like, when you come back home, all you do is you're on your laptop because you're then looking out for PubMed journals and what's new and you're reading. I swear to you, I did not know what Netflix was or what Prime Video was until lockdown. Because lockdown suddenly you had 24 hours. I never seen anything. Barely watched movies. And people thought how boring. Barely attended parties. I'm not a party person. I do go for social parties where, you know, you have to make your presence go for some, and I'm very awkward at them, I have to tell you. So I'll go, I never carry my visiting card, I never tell people who I am, I'll go stand in a corner, hi, and come back. But when I'm in a dermat meeting, like a dermatology meeting, I'm another person. And I'm like this butterfly. It's like, so that's what I've always done.
So many of your clients are celebrity clients. So if you never watched them, how did you know who they were? How did you get to know how famous they were?
So, you know, the biggies I knew.
Yeah.
The biggies I knew because, of course, from childhood, you know, you've also seen a lot of them. My mom was a huge fan of Jaya ji and Neetu ji. Huge. Like, she used to try to imitate them and whatever. So I knew them, you know.
Yeah.
And then to grow up and to know them personally was like, oh my God.
So when did you first meet Amitabh Bachchan?
Mr. Bachchan I met in 2008. So I used to write letters to him.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Like, I was 9 years old and I used to write, because from childhood, my entire family is Bachchan fan.
Okay.
Like everybody.
That's so cool.
So Dad would make sure we saw all his movies. All of us watched all his movies. So we would, you know, maybe not sit, you know, in whatever those prime seats and all, sit in the front row but watch all his movies, and not watch them once, watch them again and again and again.
Okay.
So he was like my hero. He was my father figure also.
Sure.
You know, so I used to write to him and he used to reply.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So you would always get
and
back.
Is this on written letter in those days?
Written letters, no? Those days.
Oh my gosh.
So I could close my eyes and I knew his address.
Right.
You know, North, South, 10 Jew Tara Road. It was, a child knew this address because this is it. It was like, that was, I used to write to him. And I don't know, I used to write random things. I went to school and I got third prize today and I did this. I don't know.
So sweet.
And I would get back with a postcard, you know, with a signature. That's all that came. But there was always like one line with a signature. And as I grew up, I wondered whether it was his team who did this or whether it was really him.
Sure.
And one day I asked him and he said, no, I used to sign them personally.
Wow.
Yeah. So the fan following started there,
okay.
like a 9-year-old. And I then met him in 2008, courtesy one of my friends, Jitesh Pillai, who's Filmfare editor.
Yes.
So when I knew Jitesh and we got friendly, and you know, I've been practicing since 2000. So I said, Jits, I'm not sorry to say this, but I'm not a Bollywood fan girl, like whatever. But the only person I like worship and literally worship. And my brother has a photograph of Mr. Bachchan. He worships him every day. So, and I also worship without the photograph.
This is the real Indian family, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is how we were, right? Yeah. Before every exam, Mr. Bachchan. Bhagwan, uske baad Mr. Bachchan.
Right.
So then I said, Jits, you have to do anything to make me meet him. This is my dream. I don't want to meet anyone else. Okay. So Jits calls me one day. And he says, I'm you know, in the middle of my practice. And so Jits called me and he said, you know, will you come to Tulip Star? There's somebody who's got a rash. I was in Bandra. So I said, Jits, I can't because I've got patients lined up. And, you know, middle of my practice, it's like 12 in the noon and I have patients till about 7:38. No, Jay, please try and make it this, that. And he's not telling me anything. And I'm like, no, I can't come. So finally he's like, girl, will you just come because you have to meet Mr. Do you want to meet him or not?
You're like, dropped everything, right?
So I told Cheryl was there with me. She was my girl, you know, working for me. I said, please cancel everything. And in the morning, I've done this surgery, like a earlobe repair, and I've worn a white shirt and blood on my shirt.
Oh gosh.
Like, what do I do? You know, I'm like,
you want to change, you want to get dressed, yeah.
Okay. And then I called my husband, and then I live in New Bombay. So he said, you know, what is there on the way? Just go and buy something.
So sweet.
So I went to Mango. Those days, Mango was on Linking Road in Santa Cruz. So I bought an outfit. I changed into that. And it was really difficult because even that amount was a huge amount for me. But I would rarely use my credit card. But that day I used my credit card with my heart. Like, oh my God, I'm spending so much money. Chuck it, it's all right. I don't care.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to look my best. And I went. The rash was not... It was for there was no rash actually, honestly. This was
just an excuse.
His excuse.
Yeah.
He wanted to surprise me.
So sweet.
Basically.
That's a good friend.
Yeah, he's a good friend. And Oh my God. So that's how I met him first. And it was my good luck, maybe, that something went wrong with his outfit, and it took an hour for the outfit to come. So in that 1 hour, he, Jitesh, and me are sitting, and they're chatting, and I'm like, and then
full fan moment.
Full fan moment. And then I got an opportunity to interact with him and tell him about the childhood letters and, this. Told him that, I read your blog, and you're he writes a blog, right?
Yes.
Every single day. And then out of curiosity, I said, there are so many people writing on that blog, and there is a reply from you. So who does that? Yeah. Look at me, like, like the audacity. He says, I do that. And I'm like, okay. So I started following. I've always read the blog, I told him. But I started following it more religiously.
So many things that you've spoken of through telling this story that come to mind. You had a very simple upbringing. You made your way through your career, through your professional journey. Tell us a little bit about that, because I think you come from Jamshedpur.
You've done your homework.
Yes. And we don't have to get into it so much, but I know that you had, a difficult relationship with your father. And so on. What drove you to get into this area of work? What brought you to Bombay, and how did you begin?
I think it was destiny. I purely believe, because, of course, when I'm the eldest in the family, the entire family, my mamas and everybody. So I think everybody, those days you could either be a doctor, engineer, or a teacher.
Right.
So I think every person in the family told me that you have to be a doctor. So I had no choice.
Okay.
I had to be a doctor. And then because of dad and my grandmom was, she was a heart patient. So the hospital visits were way too many. And because dad was an alcoholic.
Right.
Again, hospital visits were way too many. So I would always be awed by those white coats and the stethoscope and the doctor coming in. And I wanted to be a doctor. Okay. So it was a good thing that my family also put it in my head. And I also felt that, this is, I think, some profession which is so noble.
Right.
Because you're saving people.
Right.
Because for me, that's all that mattered, because they were only saving my family every time. Somebody was ill and that person was being saved. So, and I was a hardworking, I wouldn't say a good student. Maybe good student, because I did, I did fairly well in school. Very, very, very hardworking student. So those days, I think the fee was about 6,000 rupees for the entire year. I got into medicine with, we had these exams, there was no NEET on those days, there was some entrance exams. I wanted to get into AIIMS, I did not. Then I thought of CMC Vellore, I did not. Then I got into MGIMS, which is in Sevagram, it's the Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Medical Sciences. Anyway, whatever it is, 6,000 rupees. So how do we do this? Because there's no money. 6,000 is like
a lot,
a lot of money. So my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, my Nanaji, he said, okay, this is the amount that I've kept for your mum, and so I'm going to give it, and this is going to be for your education. So then that's how, like,
so kind of him. Yeah.
My mama, my mother's second brother, he accompanied me. And we went to Sevagram, and then I got my admissions, and then all of that began. But my dad has always been my inspiration, I have to tell you. Yes, he was an alcoholic, but alcoholism is a disease. He was a perfectionist.
Okay.
Whatever he did it very well. Be it his work, he was an engineer. So be it his work, he was like a mastermind. His memory was like another level. My brother is like that. You tell my brother a 20-digit number, he'll remember. His memory is like that. I'm not like that, unfortunately. But, he, whether it was art or craft, or he studied homeopathy on his own, and he gave fantastic medicines. He cured people. He did, he stitched our outfits. He made my science projects. He was a genius.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, I think because of the alcoholism, there was a little bit of a thing always. But he always made sure that he put it into me that whatever you do, you have to do it with passion. And my mum also was like that.
Okay.
So she was a homemaker, and she took care. We had 3 siblings, she took care of all of us and bonded us together. And we still are like very thick, all three of us. My sisters in Hyderabad, brothers in Germany, but we're still very thick. So she, brought us all together, and she was like, Mona, if you, my pet name's Mona. She's like, even if you sweep the floor, or there shouldn't be a speck on the floor.
Right.
That's how you should do it. And then she was the one who pushed me into extracurricular activities.
Okay.
So I was a very creative person, and I think all my whatever agony at home, I sort of brought it out in my school in the form of whatever I did, whether it was art. So I took part in elocutions, I took part in music, I used to sing, and then I was a quiet child, but when it came to all of this, I would go so everywhere,
right.
Participate, because mom would say, do that.
Right.
And I also found my freedom in that.
Nice.
So, and then that was the only way where I think I craved to get attention. Because, being the eldest.
Yes.
I think being the eldest and being a responsible person from childhood, and not sort of probably getting that love. I mean, they loved me, my parents loved me, but because of circumstances, I don't think we ever hugged each other or said we love you, or when I came here later on, when I grew up and I saw people, like children or parents telling their kids, oh, I love you, I'd find it very strange. I mean, why do they have to say? I'd find
that's
right. And
I've seen that, because my family is very loving, and I've seen that sometimes, with others who don't find it, who are not maybe as open in their families. Yeah.
So I find it like, so we never had that. So for me, this was an outlet, and I think I was always attention seeking, like a seeker, because somewhere I need to get noticed, because, so I did well in whatever. And dad was always like that. He would make sure that if it was math, you had to get 100 out of 100. If it was, and sometimes he'd sit me down and teach me physics and chemistry, even that one day in a week that he was not, like he was normal. He would just sit with me and teach me, or if it was music, he would just sit and play one song 100 times and write it down. You write it down, you get the right note, he was not a singer, mind you, but he made sure I did. So I think I got it from there.
Okay.
And then, of course, after studying, I met my husband in college. And so we dated for about a year and a half. He's 4 years my senior. And then we got married before I even started my internship. So just after my MBBS. And because he's from Bombay, I moved to Bombay. That's how Bombay happened.
Okay. Yeah. And you really worked your way, in the sense, I've been reading stories of late nights and traveling cross city, and tell us about that. Tell us about the early days. And was he doing the same in his career? Because it's really important to have a partner, I think, who understands what's required from you and is supportive.
Yeah. So for us, you do MBBS, and then you do a year of internship, and then you do 3 years of post-graduation. So right after MBBS...
That's like 7-8 years of studying. I think my head just went into a tailspin.
So post my, when I came here, I said, no, I can't do internship in Sevagram, because I wanted to be with him. Luckily, I got internship in JJ Hospital. So finished MBBS, got married, came here, and so we stayed in the hospital. We stayed in MGM Hospital in Kamote.
Okay.
And so one of the topmost, one doctor's room that they gave us. So we stayed there. And I used to go to JJ from there, from Kamote, every day to Sandhurst Road by train, and then come back in the evening. No money, because when you're doing internship, and if you're an outsider, they didn't give you a stipend. So I was getting no stipend. My husband was getting 5,000 rupees salary.
Oh, wow.
He was like... So, but those were fun days.
That's what you always just seem really happy with life. It doesn't seem to have worn you out in any way.
So, I'll tell you, every Saturday, so he would come to Sandhurst Road to pick me up all the way from Kamote, New Bombay, all the way by train. And then he would go to Sterling, Sterling Cinema. And the other one, Eros. So he'd go to either of these and book a movie ticket for a Sunday show, and then we'd come back all the way on a Sunday watching a movie. And we did that very often. So every new English movie that was there, we watched.
You watched.
Yeah, and it was like, and then Bade Mia was our favorite place. We'd eat there because we could
Of
afford
course,
that.
yeah.
You know, and and then we'd buy ice because we'd had no refrigerator. So in summers, and then we'd buy those candy popsicles and Pepsi Cola in those days. So it was fun, you know.
Lovely memories.
And then I remember having gone to Masjid Bandar by train. We didn't have money to buy a closet or like a cupboard or whatever. So we went and bought those aluminium trunks and even a gas stove. And we sat in that luggage compartment, and there was a goat and there was some chicken and then I'm sitting like that and I'm thinking, what is this?
Where am I?
And then we've come, so I've like put all my clothes in one of them and covered it with a nice cloth or whatever, and then made that my TV stand. And we bought a 14-inch television, black and white, on loan. So he took like 3,000 rupees loan from his friends or whatever, and then so those were the days. But I mean, they're good memories.
Yeah.
And they keep you very grounded.
I was just gonna say, I was saying, would your relationship with money have changed over the years, or do you still stay grounded in terms of?
I still today. I may buy a brand because of whatever, I have to go somewhere and whatever.
Sure.
But I'm not a brand person. I can just.
You're not fussed
about it.
Would you spoil yourself, like when you travel and things like that?
So I'm not a shopaholic. So I'm for example, when my husband and I go, I mean, I know what I want to buy.
Sure.
So I'll get into a shop, I'll pick that one thing and I'll come out. I'm not a person who just splurge and whatever.
Right.
I love watches though.
Right.
So
you deserve it after working so hard.
I love watches more than jewelry, and I don't like bags. I love clothes.
Right.
I like to, sort of indulge in good clothes. But I'm not brand conscious.
Right.
So that's the thing that so I think all those years and childhood, they sort of kept me grounded, and that value for money, or maybe I've never, even today, I don't know how much I earn. So sorry, but
in terms of how you run your business, do you have targets you put for yourself, your team?
Nothing.
Okay, you want it to be operational, you want some amount of profit.
Yeah.
How do you approach it?
It's my 25th year of practice. I still don't have any marketing team. I don't have a PR. I don't have like a full-fledged accounts team. I have an accountant and my CA.
Yeah.
But that's how we function, because we don't have targets.
Okay, how many clinics are you?
You're like 2 clinics.
This one?
I have one here and I have one in New Bombay. And I don't have a secretary or a PA. You know it.
I know that.
Everybody texts me, or even all the journalists, and they're directly in touch with me, and I do it. But I'll tell you what, Mr. Bachchan does that a lot of times. I mean, he has Rosie, but a lot of times...
We all know Rosie.
Yeah, we all know Rosie. But, there's something about him. You tend to learn a lot from him. He's such an inspiration.
Okay, there's this assumption that dermatologists must be like minting money right now, because everyone is panicked about aging. Everybody wants Botox and fillers. And then, of course, etc., etc., etc. So, I'm imagining you have a flood in all of these clinics, obviously, for your own name and fame as well. So I'm shocked at how you're managing this with such a skeletal staff.
I think my husband, I will give all the credit to my husband from the beginning, so I was telling you about my journey. So after I finished, and then I joined Nanavati, I was doing medicine. Mum fell ill, so I had to go back to Jamshedpur, 1997.
Right.
She was ill for a long time. She was in coma for 15 days, and then she was paralyzed and all of that. So I quit everything, went back.
Okay.
When I came back, I think God had this planned for me. They said, okay, now, because I had quit, they said, okay, now there's one seat in dermatology if you want. I wanted to be a pediatrician, and God gave me dermatology.
You would have been such a good pediatrician. Like, kids would have loved you.
I love kids.
Right?
I love kids. So every kid who comes to the clinic now, my staff knows
that
there are kids who don't want to leave. There's one little kid, so her mom has been my patient from the time she was in college. And this kid is now, I think, 3 years old. She doesn't want to leave the clinic.
I can imagine.
So anyway, so then they said dermats. I said, okay, fine, dermats. That's how I became a dermatologist.
That's how it happened. Wow.
That's how it happened. But then, you know, because
it really is a lot of serendipity, isn't it?
Absolutely. But Sharad has taken care of everything.
That's amazing.
And when I tell you that I don't know how much I earn, because he takes care of everything and he looks at it. He's a bariatric and GI surgeon, doing very well for himself. But he also takes care of all this. He's also taken care of my family because, you know, mom passed away in 97. She was only 47 years old.
Right.
And then dad was, you know, not working. And then so my sister was in second year of BCom. My brother was in his 12th grade. So from that time, you know, like Sharad has taken care of everything. Okay. So yeah, I'm really fortunate. So he takes care of all of this, and I'm doing fairly well. I mean, I'm not.
You're not denying that.
I'm not denying that. I mean, you know,
but you don't have to worry about the admin, essentially.
I do look at how my staff are functioning, and in today's day and age, I must admit that post-COVID, things are getting a little tough, and I am considering keeping somebody who will monitor all of this, because now there are these chains which are, you know, flooding the market,
right,
where they are not doctors anymore. They are just investors who are opening these beauty clinics and chains and all of that, and then you hire some new dermatologist. And also with the number of private colleges we didn't have in our times, right? It was all these government colleges that we studied in. So with the number of private colleges and so many dermatologists who are, you know, coming out, and now not just that, you have many non-dermatologists, non-plastic surgeons who have just, you know, they may not even be MBBS, but they may be other schools of medicine, Unani medicine, and, you know, whatever. And then they're all starting aesthetic work,
right?
And everybody's doing lasers and fillers and Botox,
exactly,
and this and that. So the competition is huge now.
True.
And so by God's grace, I'm always busy. But then my team also has to be busy, because I can't run this show otherwise. I'm traveling 6 times in a year internationally because I'm speaking. So when I'm not there, because I'm so much into academics, that's my passion, I can't give that up. So when I'm not there, back in the day, pre-COVID, I never had to worry because my clinic was functioning.
Right.
You know? But now, you know,
they want you, your clients want you, essentially.
My clients want me, but if there's somebody who, I don't do hydrofacials or
things
laser
like that,
hair
of
removal
course,
or whatever.
Yes.
So those kind of things were always, you know, happening in my absence. Right. But now what happens is, because there are so many of them, people have options, and there's always an undercutting happening.
Okay.
And there's so much, you know, happening that you have to wonder. Although my husband says, listen, don't stress about all this because you're doing well still.
Sure,
you know?
Sure.
But then I do see that back in the day, we were 5 doctors, 4 assistants and me.
Right.
And we would not get the time to even say hello to each other.
Right.
Right? Whereas now...
Okay, I understand.
There is time. I mean, you know.
Got it. Yeah.
So it's getting more and more difficult, I think, more for the newcomers. I think I've made my niche and
of course,
whatever, and the practices,
yes,
you know,
and you're widely renowned, so yeah.
So and I'm 51 now, so I mean, I don't know how long I will continue. I'll continue till my last breath maybe, but I will but then I will choose.
Sure.
You know,
100%. You know, you have been known to sort of shift your strategy to, I remember when you realized that Botox was what people wanted. I remember this story, and you shifted to kind of adapting to that, and that sort of took off. So you have tapped into trends before.
Yes.
In terms of expansion, like you said, you have your 2 clinics, and yes, the investors are coming in and creating these chains. Have you never been tempted or never thought of doing something like that?
A lot of people have approached me. Like
I'm sure.
For franchisees and whatever. I don't know. You know, I feel that it'll get diluted because I'm such a personal touch person. You know, and I love to build relationships rather than, you know, just treat a person as a patient. And so I think it's not a great you know, trait in me when I say that I have that fear that no, it'll get diluted if I open too many because I won't be able to give my 100%. I
Sure.
won't be able to travel to every place. And so I don't think I want to do that. I'm
Okay.
happy with my 2 clinics. A lot of people have asked me about my own products. I've been trying for the last 6-7 years, but just not getting the right.
Okay,
You know, if
interesting.
somebody gives me a nice salicylic acid, I still don't get a good retinol, or I don't get a good, you know, whatever. And I'm like, no, but I can't, you know, whatever comes out, and if somebody is using Dr. Jaishree's product, it has to
Has
be
to
good.
be good.
So that's not working out. God
We'll see.
willing, we'll see. But I love to write.
Lovely.
So
You got several books.
I have 4 books. I have 3 books from Penguin and 1 textbook, which a lot of dermatologists read. Hopefully my 5th will come out. I'm just about
amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. Just about framed the idea. So Penguin has been after me for a year now. That okay, now next book. I've been delaying, and now finally said yes, just last week. So now, hopefully in another year.
What's this one about? Okay.
But so I think I'm looking at that. I'm looking at writing. I'm looking at teaching. I'm looking
Nice.
at, you know, all the young dermatologists who come, and there's so much misinformation. Just look at, for example, fillers and Botox. Okay, so when it comes to fillers, people are just filling and overfilling.
Right.
And you know me, my mantra has always been less is more.
Yes, 100%.
Always, right? And so I like to create faces and sculpt faces in a way that they don't look like somebody else. They just look like younger versions of themselves, and not really 10 years younger, maybe 5 years younger.
Sure.
So like just more youthful versions of themselves. But I feel sad when I look at people saying, oh my God, I have patients who come and say, no, we don't want fillers because look at what has happened. Or, you know, oh, we should move away. Even celebrities, you know, you had Kylie Jenner who talked about, oh, I'm getting my fillers dissolved. Why? Because you did 17, 18 syringes at one go, which was wrong. You should have done 2 syringes, 4 syringes. And you shouldn't have pumped every 6 months.
Yeah.
You should have kept that bridge between 2 sessions, that gap, that maybe 1.5 years or 1 year or whatever, 2 years, you know. So, but why have you done that? You've done that because somebody's done it for you.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
So now I want to teach
And there are more than enough people who are trying to sell you packages even when you don't need them. We've all been there, gone to so many consults, you know.
So I want to teach the youngsters that, you know, what we are doing is an amalgamation of science and art, and we should not, and we've taken the oath, the medical oath. So if we're doctors, we shouldn't forget our ethics.
Right.
And we should, you know, just, you know, have people learn that they should just have radiant, clear skin and more youthful faces, rather than just trying to, oh, my lines should completely go and my wrinkles should completely go, and, you know, I don't believe in that. I believe that, yes, you age gracefully, but yes, do treatments. They're all there. There's nothing wrong in doing them, but just the right amount.
Sure.
You know, and I want to teach that to a lot of youngsters and teach them the art of doing it, rather than teaching them math. See, so the other day there was this Instagram reel which was doing the rounds about the golden ratio.
Yes.
Okay, 1:1.6, where okay, this much from one eye to the other should be this much. So if you actually calculate and use those calipers, you will be able to create the perfect model face, like a mannequin.
Oh my God.
But you will be able to create, everybody will look the same. And that's actually happening.
I was like, I feel like I'm in a movie. I think we're heading into like some kind of
Right?
AI generated.
Where everybody
you know,
can do that.
Where
And
we're
you
all
can-
clones.
Yeah, and you can actually do that because if you create that, if you measure and you put the right amount of filler, whatever, you can do that. But I want to tell the youngsters that please don't believe in that. Don't do that. Use that to assess the face.
Okay.
Maybe you want to create a little bit of asymmetry is nice. See, the lips should be symmetrical, but a little bit of asymmetry on the face is nice. So don't look at creating symmetrical faces. We are all asymmetric. Don't look at, the lip should be of the upper lip, lower lip ratio should be this much, or the nose should be this sharp, or that's not what you are. You have to be, yourself.
Right.
that individualistic approach. I want to teach people that.
You have such a wealth of knowledge and so much legacy to pass on.
Yeah. So I love teaching. So I think I see myself going there.
That's
I'm
amazing.
doing it.
You already do. You've got the books.
I've been doing it since maybe since 2006, conducting workshops, seminars, going for these conferences, teaching people.
Amazing.
But I want to do it in a more professional way.
I'd love to hear, I mean, of course, this is knowledge in your space that you want to pass on, but even specifically for women, I'd love to hear any thoughts you have on, what could help them in their journey to success. I know you've always spoken about mentors, having mentors, as well as being a mentor. And I think that's been very significant in your journey. You've also spoken about the importance of earning for yourself. So even today, you may be comfortable and have a great, family where, and so on, where it's not that you're struggling for anything, but you've always spoken about earning for yourself.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit, about, these aspects or any other advice that you'd like to share or just tokens of wisdom that you've gathered over the years.
Mom always said that, you may be married to the richest man, but you have to fend for yourself. Right. Okay? You have to have that self-respect that you do not put your hand out and say, I need some money for whatever. And that sort of stayed with me forever. It's so important to be independent, to earn your self-respect, to gain your confidence. And for that, education is important. Some amount of education. And then, of course, you can always do, if you have the skill to start small-scale businesses or whatever, do whatever it takes, but keep doing something. Don't sit idle, And these days, it's so easy to even be at home. And if you are creative and you have a craft and a hobby, you can, turn that into a business.
Absolutely.
Right?
We have so many women doing interesting things.
Doing that. And I think that's the most important thing. You have to have your self-respect. You have to earn for yourself. And you have to love yourself. Right, and because if you don't love yourself and if you don't feel confident about yourself, it will always make you sad, come what may. And you have only one life. So what do you want at the end of it all? What do you want? You want people to remember you as a loving person. Look at Ratan Tata. Okay, what a man. I don't think there was any person. I was reading every Instagram. So my attachment to the Tatas is because I'm from Jamshedpur.
Right, of course. Yes,
right?
Yes.
As a child, I have seen him. I'm from Sacred Heart School, and we've had a lot of interactions and whatever. And then he's a Bombay person and whatever. And that was not a person who has not had something good to talk about him. Everybody said it felt like a personal loss. We can't be Ratan Tata, but in our own small way, we have to be remembered in a good way. So I think in the end, it's very important to be a nice human being, plus have that self-respect and keep doing what you want to do and keep your passion alive.
Yeah.
Don't let somebody else rule over you and, sort of squash your passion. That's not what life is all about. Yeah, you have to fight for it if you have to.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so important, and I'm so happy that you sort of said that, because I totally agree. And I think we're lucky when we have people who support us.
Yes.
In that.
I mean, I completely agree on that. I mean, like I said, my husband's been like my pillar always. But I know of people who don't have that support. But it's okay. You may not have that support, but that doesn't mean, you stay cooped in your four walls and say, oh,
what can I do?
What can I do? No, that is a killer.
That's it.
You should not sympathize with yourself.
Got it.
You have to get up and do what it takes to be confident and happy.
I know you're not saying the backdrop, but I know this comes from a very, very deep personal experience that you have
fall,
yourself.
You get up, you fall, you get up. Someday you're going to win, right? It's going to happen. Yeah, I completely believe in it.
I believe in it too.
And people say, these days, oh my God, Instagram is full of motivational quotes and this and that, and stay with positive people and do this, that. very true, you know, but dream with your eyes open and work towards your goal. You can't sit and say,
Absolutely.
oh, you know.
Absolutely. On that note, Jaishree, thank you so much for catching up with us today, sharing your story and all those insights from your journey. It's been a pleasure and a privilege, and I wish you all the best on your journey ahead.
Thank you so much, Aabha. Let me tell you, I've known you for so long, over 15 years, I think, and you've always been an inspiration. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have to tell you, when you would come in, you know, back in those days, I'm like, she's so pretty.
Really?
Yeah. Always.
I'd always come looking a mess and I'd be like, why is everyone looking at me? Like, like in my track pants.
This is why people are looking at you. She's so pretty. It's also the heart.
Yeah.
You know, it reflects.
Oh.
It always reflects. So if you're pretty here, it always shows on the face. And thank you so much for being so supportive always.
Always. We wish you the best. You totally deserve
Thank
it. And we look up to you, and you're an inspiration to so many young women out there. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.